course, when Doug did any of his stunts, he was essentially graceful. That's the one thing we struggled for, and I insisted on. There was never to be any evidence of an effort on his part. Now, when I did them for him, to show him what was expected, I was necessarily awkward. I weighed maybe 40 pounds more than he did, although I was his height. But I did it by sheer muscular push, while he did it gracefully. If I struggled through the air, he floated through the air. And everything we did was based on measurement of his reach. Never did he reach with a great effort. It was a handhold, was ready, it was there to pull him. And so when he did these things, it was artistic and based on the fact that it was measured. We had stairs specially built so that he would gracefully go up and down them. I make the point, that's what we were after in all the stunts that he did, was grace and agility, like a ballet dancer.
Black Pirate, directed by Al Parker, Fairbanks captured a Spanish galleon single-handed in the new process of Technicolor.
The famous one of sliding down the sails, very, very spectacular, was not as difficult to do as it appeared, because if you actually did try to do it, it'd be literally impossible. You cannot stick a knife in a canvas sail and slide down in one hand. I mean, the sail would be too tough, the knife wouldn't cut it, and no one, even the strongest man in the world, couldn't hold on to his own weight and push through the sail. So, in actual fact, my Uncle Robert, who was an engineer, he devised a means of putting the sail on a kind of angle so it wasn't straight up and down. The camera also on an angle so that on the screen it would be looking like that. The sail had been pre-sliced and then stitched up invisibly, so with just minor stitching so it would split anyway. And so in one scene the knife would go in, be a quick cut away, and the next time actually there was a fixed knife was already there with a counterweight back of the sail that you didn't see, that we would just hold on to like a lift, something with a counterweight and wires that would just haul him down through this pre-slit sail.
In the stunt-crazy America of the 20s, these men and women are risking their lives for money, for thrills, for the newsreels, to publicize a building, to open a store. When comedian Harold Lloyd saw a human fly climb the Brockman building in downtown Los Angeles, he was horrified, hid his eyes, and had the idea for his most famous comedy, Safety Last. Lloyd played a department store employee facing dismissal who dreams up an idea to save his job and publicize the store. He thinks he's found a professional human fly, but he has to climb the building himself. The film was alarmingly realistic, and many in the audience hid their eyes.
In other words, they're up just as high as you see them. People are underneath it. It's time we photograph them. But I remember C.B. DeMille, I think you, a great producer, he saw a picture we did called Safety Last, and he came out and he says, you know, Harold, if I hadn't known that you were just a few feet off the ground, he said, you'd have had me really scared. And I said, well, CB, I said, I got news for you. We were up there. And I started telling him how we did it, and finally he says, look at the palms of my hand. He says, they're all damp.
The idea that Harold Lloyd climbed the building entirely alone has long been accepted, but he didn't.
I doubled Harold, and every precaution that I wanted in climbing the buildings and so forth, anything protection I wanted, I could have. The only one thing I couldn't have is publicity, which was all right with me. I didn't care. What did it mean to me? Nothing. I never mentioned that I doubled Harold Lloyd until Harold passed on.
The human fly in this shot is Harvey Parry. This is Harold Lloyd. Lloyd was a capable athlete who achieved a great deal of the climb himself, but he could hardly be exposed to a 100-foot drop. So how was the rest of the climb achieved? Remember, there was no back projection. Lloyd had to be as high above the ground as he appeared to be. The answer was as simple as it was ingenious.
We built a set on top of the 14-story building that would be maybe 2.5 stories in height. Right on the edge, facing in toward the roof of the building. Now, when they photographed it in such an angle that it looked like it was on the opposite side of the street, and you could see all that traffic underneath you. Where if Harold did fall, or I did fall, doing some things that were a little more dangerous that you wouldn't want to do up at 14 stories, we'd only fall maybe 15, 16 feet. And we'd have pads down there in case he did fall. Harold Lloyd a lot of people didn't know it, only had part of a hand. On his right hand, it was blown off by a firecracker in a still picture one time. If you ever notice, he'd hang mostly with his left hand because he couldn't hang with the right.
Lloyd wore a special glove to conceal his missing fingers, so his disability was never apparent.
Harold couldn't stand height, although he did safety last and feet first in those things.